In the bustling city of Hong Kong, 19-year-old Mia, an avid collector of quirky toys, spotted a rare Labubu doll in a dimly lit thrift shop in Mong Kok. Its oversized eyes and toothy grin stood out among dusty trinkets, and the shopkeeper, an elderly woman with trembling hands, sold it for a suspiciously low price, warning, "Keep it in the light." Mia, thrilled, brought the doll home to her cramped apartment, placing it on her desk under a lamp. That night, a summer storm swept through, flickering the city's power grid. As Mia worked on her art portfolio, the lamp dimmed, and she noticed the Labubu doll's eyes glinting as if reflecting light that wasn't there. Shrugging it off, she went to bed, but awoke at 3 a.m. to a faint giggle, like a child's, coming from her desk. The doll was still there, but its head seemed tilted, facing her bed. The storm's thunder masked other sounds, but Mia felt watched. She turned the doll to face the wall and tried to sleep, only to hear soft scratching from the desk, like tiny claws on wood. The next night, Mia covered the doll with a cloth, but the giggling returned, louder, accompanied by whispers. "Look at me." Uncovering it, she found the doll upright, its grin wider as if stretched. Her phone, left on the desk, began playing a distorted lullaby she hadn't downloaded. Terrified, Mia locked the doll in a drawer, but the whispers seeped through, now chanting her name, "Mia, Mia." Objects in her apartment began moving, pins rolling off tables, curtains swaying without wind. In the morning, she found her sketchbook, filled with crude drawings of herself, asleep, with the Labubu doll looming over her. Desperate, Mia returned to the thrift shop, but it was boarded up, the shopkeeper gone. A neighbor whispered that the doll was once owned by a child who vanished, leaving only the toy behind. Mia burned the doll in an alley, but as the flames consumed it, she heard one final giggle. Back home, her lamp flickered, and in the mirror she glimpsed the doll's eyes behind her. Mia moved out, abandoning her collection, but she still feels its gaze in every shadow, convinced the Labubu doll's spirit lingers, demanding her attention. Evan, a 32-year-old toy enthusiast in Tokyo, prided himself on his extensive Labubu doll collection, displayed in a glass case in his modern apartment. In spring 2025, he won an auction for a limited edition Labubu doll, rumored to be one of a kind, with a hand-painted scar across its face. The seller, anonymous, included a note: "Never let it feel ignored." Evan, dismissing the warning as a marketing gimmick, added the doll to his collection, placing it center stage under bright lights. That night, as Evan slept, he dreamt of the doll's scar, glowing red, its grin twisting into a snarl. He awoke to find his apartment eerily silent, the city's usual hum absent. The glass case was open, and the scarred Labubu doll sat on his bedside table, though he lived alone and locked his doors. Unnerved, Evan returned it to the case, but the other Labubu dolls were now misaligned, their heads turned toward the scarred one, as if in reverence. Over the next week, Evan's life unraveled. His computer crashed, displaying images of the scarred doll in places it shouldn't be: his bathroom, his kitchen. At night, he heard tapping from the case, like tiny feet pacing. His friends, visiting to see the collection, felt uneasy, one claiming the scarred doll's eyes followed her. Evan, obsessed with solving the mystery, researched the doll's origins, uncovering a forum post about a craftsman who vanished after creating it, reportedly cursing the doll to punish neglectful owners. One night, Evan awoke to find all his Labubu dolls arranged in a circle around his bed, the scarred one at his feet. His phone recorded a video he didn't take, showing him sleeping as the doll's scar pulsed. In a panic, Evan tried to sell the doll, but buyers backed out, citing bad feelings. He smashed it with a hammer, but the pieces reassembled overnight, the scar now larger. Defeated, Evan locked his collection away and moved, but his dreams are haunted by the doll's grin, and he swears his new apartment's lights dim when he ignores his remaining toys, fearing the curse's reach. In a quiet suburb of Manila, 25-year-old Clara, a struggling artist, found a Labubu doll at a flea market in 2025. Its faded fur and missing ear gave it a forlorn look, and the vendor, a hunched man with clouded eyes, gave it to her for free, muttering, "It chooses you." Clara, charmed by its imperfections, brought it home to her small studio, placing it on a shelf among her paints. That night, a tropical storm battered the city, rattling her windows and cutting power. As Clara sketched by candlelight, the doll's single ear seemed to twitch, its grin sharper in the flickering glow. She laughed it off, blaming the storm's eerie atmosphere, but later heard a soft hum, like a lullaby, from the shelf. Checking the doll, she found its eyes wet, as if crying, though no water had spilled. Uneasy, Clara moved it to a closet, but the hum followed, growing into a voice. "Make me whole." Her paints began to leak, forming puddles that shaped the doll's face on her floor. The next night, Clara dreamt of a doll maker carving Labubu dolls in a dark workshop, his hands bleeding as he whispered to each one. She awoke to find her sketch pad filled with designs for a new Labubu doll, perfectly matching the one she owned, but with both ears. Compelled, she sculpted a replacement ear from clay, attaching it to the doll. The hum stopped, but her studio felt alive. Brushes moved on their own, canvases painted themselves with images of the doll in human poses. Clara's obsession grew. She crafted more Labubu dolls, each more lifelike, neglecting food and sleep. Her neighbors reported hearing cries from her studio, but found it empty except for the dolls, now arranged in a shrine-like circle. One night, Clara vanished, leaving a note. "I made them whole." The original Labubu doll was found with a fresh tear in its fur, as if rejecting her work. The vendor, tracked down, claimed the doll was tied to a dollmaker's pact, a spirit bound to unfinished toys, seeking completion through its owners. Clara's studio remains locked, but passers-by hear humming, and the Labubu doll's eyes seem to follow them through the window,